All right, so today's lesson 12.2, we're only going to be focusing on cylinders today. So our can-shaped ones. So the two circles for the bases are two circles. So we're going to learn how to find the surface area of a cylinder today. So this is our first time we're actually doing surface area. So surface area is the total area of all the faces and the curved surfaces of a three-dimensional figure. So if I were to find the surface area of a cylinder, I would find the area of the circle, or both circles, I should say, from the bases. And then I'm also finding the area of its sides, okay, of all the faces or curved surfaces of the figure. So that's what it means to find surface area. If I were to look at the net, I just go find the surface of the area of all the figures, okay? And then we have this formula here given to us for surface area. I guess I'll leave this out for a second. Okay, so the surface area of a cylinder, we are basically taking the lateral area, means basically the rectangle part of the cylinder, and the two circular bases. So we can use the S equals L plus 2B, or we just use this S equals 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. And then it tells you that r is the radius and h is the height from the circle to circle. So how far apart the two circles are from each other is the height of the cylinder. So if we look at the net of the cylinder, I can see I have two circles, and then to find the area of a circle, do you guys know the formula for area of a circle? The formula is pi r squared. Good. The formula is a pi r squared. So if you notice, if I were to find the area of this circle, it's pi r squared, and this circle is pi r squared. So then if I were to combine those two together, that gives me 2 pi r squared because I have two circles, right? So that's where this part of the formula comes from, is I have two circles, so 2 pi r squared. And then the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. And so because my rectangle is really the circumference of the circle, right? It's the length around the circle. So if I open it up, this length right here is really the 2 pi r because it's the circumference, right? So the length of my rectangle is 2 pi r, and then the width is basically the height, right? So in this case, the area of a rectangle is length times width. And because my length of my rectangle is 2 pi r and the width is a height, then I just combine those two together, multiplied, and that's where we get this 2 pi r h in our formula, okay? So you can think of it as the net. If you can't remember the formula, just think of it as the net. You have the two circles, so that's the 2 pi r squared, and then you have the rectangle, it's 2 pi r times h, okay? So if we look at our first example, it says we have a trash can. It's roughly shaped like a cylinder with the dimensions shown, and it's supposed to estimate the surface area of a trash can, including the lid, to the nearest tenth. So you're doing the whole trash can, top and bottom, okay? So I can see that the whole length at the bottom is 2.5 feet. But in a circle, what is that called when you have, the length across from the circle? You guys know what that's called? Radius is only from the center to the edge. So what is the whole length called? The diameter, right? Good. So this is actually the diameter. And do you guys know the relationship between the diameter and the radius? Radius is half the diameter. Good. So radius is going to be half of the diameter. So in this case, I'm going to take the 2.5 and divide that by 2 to find my radius. So what is our radius in this example? 2.5 divided by 2 is 1.25. Good. And that's feet for my units. My radius is a 1.25 feet. Then to find the surface area, that's basically all I needed. Thank you. Because then the height is how far away are the two circles from each other, or how tall the can is, I guess you can say. So this 4.2 is going to be our h, because that's how tall the can is, right? So for my formula, I have S is equal to 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. And now that I have all my values, notice all I needed is the R and the H, and not the R, right? That's all I need is the radius and the height to find the surface area. So now that I have my values, I'm going to just go plug them in. It's going to be S is equal to 2 times pi. My radius is 1.25 times my height is 4.2 plus 2 pi, and my radius again is 1.25, and then I'm going to square that. Okay. And then once you have that, you're just going to go plug that whole thing into the calculator exactly like it shows up like that. So on your calculator, you want to do 2, like just like it shows up like that, where the parentheses are, put the parentheses. And then the square, you have the x squared button right here next to the 7, kind of, is your x squared button. So you're going to go 2 pi, parentheses, 1.25, close parentheses, open the other parentheses, 4.2, close the parentheses, and then you go plus 2, and then pi is right here underneath the ln, and then open a parentheses, 1.25, close the parentheses, and then the x squared button, and then you press equals. And you guys are rounding to the nearest 10. All right, do you guys have an answer for me? 32.8? 42.8? You guys all got that? 42.8? Okay. So we got 42.8, and then what's our units going to be? Feet, okay. But because this is area is always squared, okay? So this is actually 42.8, and it's feet squared. And the reason why it's a squared is because you have a feet times feet gives you feet squared. All right. But because we have context and we need to write just a quick sentence, you would say the surface area of the trash can is about 42.8 square feet. So the surface area of the trash can is about 42.8 square feet. Okay, that's our just quick little sentence. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our next example. Our next example here says we have a can of tuna, has a radius of 1.75 inches and a height of 2 inches. And we're supposed to estimate the surface area of the can of tuna to the nearest tenth. This one doesn't give me really the the dimensions on the picture, but it gives it to me in words. So then I had to figure out what my picture is going to look like. If it's helpful, you guys can draw like the net of a circle, which I should have done that in the first example, but it's okay. We'll just do it like this. So I'm going to draw the net really quick for my tuna can. And you guys can draw it also if you want to. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. Okay, then what am I given? Well, I am given the radius of the circle, right? So my radius from here to here is 1.75. Let me zoom in real quick. This is 1.75. And that's going to be the same for this circle. It's 1.75. So to find the area of the circle, it's just pi r squared, right? So to find this circle, it's going to be pi times 1.75 squared. This one's pi times 1.75 squared. And then they also gave me that the height, so from here to here, is 2 inches, is the height. My radius is 1.75. So to find the area of the rectangle, that's going to be my 2 pi r, which is 1.75. So that's the length times the height is the 2. So to find the area of the rectangle, it's going to be 2 pi times 1.75 times the height, which is 2. So basically, I'm just going to go combine everything. The area of the rectangle is going to be that 2 pi r times h plus the 2 circles. I have 2 circles, so 2 times pi times 1.75 squared. So if it's helpful, you guys can draw the net just so you can kind of see where all the area is coming from. But if you want to just use the formula, you can just use the formula. That's fine as well. All right, and then from there, you're basically just finding the total area. So you're going to go put that whole thing into the calculator and see what you get for your answer. And I don't have a calculator myself, but you guys can do that for me and then tell me what you get. But again, everywhere you see a parentheses, you want to put the parentheses just like it shows up when you write it out. Oh, thank you. What you get? 41.22. Did you guys all get that? 41.23? Okay, but it's still to the nearest tenth. So to the nearest tenth is still going to be 41.2, right? So it's approximately 41.2. And then my units are going to be what this time? Inches, but it has to be squared, right? And then you have to write just a quick little sentence. We're going to say the surface area of the can of tuna is about 41.2 square inches. So the properties of a circle, just so you know, because again, some of you guys are confused with part of this. So the radius is going to be from the center all the way to the edge of the circle. So that's called the radius, okay? versus the diameter. If I draw another circle, my diameter, the difference is the diameter goes all the way across from side to side and it passes through the center, okay? So if this is the radius and this is also the radius, then together that's going to be the diameter. So the diameter is half of the radius. Sorry, the radius is half of the diameter, okay? So you can think of it as radius is half the diameter, or you can think of it as the diameter is 2 radius, okay? 2 times the radius is how you get the diameter, okay? And then the area of the circle is a pi r squared. And then the circumference of the circle, basically you know how we do the perimeter, but because we have a circle, we call it the circumference instead of the perimeter. But the distance around the circle is calculated by 2 pi r. So those are properties of a circle, okay? Just so you guys are aware of circles, I didn't really talk about them. I just assumed you guys knew those, but I probably should have talked about that in the beginning, okay? All right, so rest of the period, you guys are working on the assignment. You should hopefully be able to finish the assignment, and then I'll go walk around and see if you guys need any help.